Welcome to Black Coffee Conversations. It's all things relationship. I'm Tanya,
And I'm Tiffany.
and I am so excited about the guest that we have today, Marcus Meneses.
Yes.
He is the founder and executive director of Stronger Than My Father. So this is an organization you started in 2013. And let me just say this. I love your mission.
Thank you.
It is to educate, inspire, and transform today's youth to fulfill their God's given purpose. I absolutely love that mission.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here on Black Coffee Conversations. First, can we just kind of open up to tell us why you even started the organization, Stronger Than My Father?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me as a guest. I appreciate it. It's good to be on.
Here.
It's good to be on the other side and not be interviewing people. But the whole story came 22 years ago. My mother asked me to mentor my cousin, who was 3.5 years old, recently lost his mother to a drug overdose. And when my mom asked me, the first thing I told her was, "Where's his daddy? Why are you asking me to do it? That's not my job." And she says, "Marcus, he doesn't have a father." So at 27, I probably said one of the dumbest statements. And I said, "Mama, kids going without daddies now?" Because I grew up with my father. So 80% of my life was with dad.
Yeah.
The other 20% was to go to church with my mom. So when you grow up in a world that I didn't know these things, it was an eye opener for me. And then from mentoring my cousin, who I treated like my own son, 10 years later, my first son was 3 years old.
Okay.
He had a sweater that said "Strong Like Dad." And I swear to you guys, I would put it on him. I was ready to take him bowling. And God said, "Stronger than my father." And I stopped. And I wrote it down. And my first thought was just to go be an inspirational speaker about fatherhood. Then I realized everybody does a lot of talking, but a lot of people are not doing the work to change lives. So from there, it was a lady who convinced me to do a nonprofit. And from there, I've been going for nearly 12 years, trying to transform young men's lives, teach them. And the only thing, I've never been trained as a mentor. My mother said, just teach them what your daddy taught you. I was like, that's easy. So when you look at our photos and the work that we were doing, most of the classes we were doing is things that my father taught me. So that's how the organization got started. I've done after school with it. Mainly I did after school just to have my son with me.
Wow.
My oldest son, who has autism. I wanted just him to be with me. And so, but my whole mission is just really to give these boys something that I have. And I just felt sorry for them. I felt sorry, like, man, you don't have a dad like my dad. So that's, and then with the name, I wanted to be sure that young men could break the cycle. So when you become a father, you become a husband, you really understand what it takes to take care of your child and take care of your spouse. It takes so much work, but if you don't have the training, how do you know how to do it? So that's the story of Stronger Than My Father in a nutshell.
Okay.
Stronger Than My Father is such a powerful, impactful name.
Yeah.
And I mean, it carries a powerful message about your relationship with your father
Yeah.
and how much you thought of him.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about a pivotal moment or something that your dad shared with you that shaped your understanding of what it means to be a father figure.
He taught me several lessons, and we could be here all night, but he taught me lessons on emotions, how to treat a wife. My parents been married nearly 54 years.
Wow.
So my dad didn't talk a lot. His teaching came through what me and my two brothers watching.
From showing.
From watching. So
Yeah.
I've never seen my father put his hands on my mother.
Mm-hmm.
I never seen my dad come home drunk. I never seen him disrespect my mother. So my training came through watching him because as a child, your brain is always looking, it's always moving. So I said, okay, when I get married, I'm supposed to do what dad done. And so I've been married nearly 24 years. Never seen a counselor. I ain't saying my marriage been perfect, but my point is that most of my teaching came through him. So one of his best advice he told me is that, son, when you come home, I don't care what kind of day you have had, you leave your problems in that garage and you make sure your house is a house of peace and a house of love every day.
Oh.
So that's what he taught me. You call my wife, she'll tell you, Mark could have a rough day. He come home, he's chasing the boys around the house. He's not saying everybody had a good day. And my wife know I've had a horrible day, but she knows that my sons are always watching daddy.
Yeah.
My two kids, especially my youngest, who's 9, he's always watching daddy. My oldest, I want to be just like dad. And I think that's how God has it with sons. They want to be just like their father.
Yes.
So it's my job to be able to show them, not by always talking, because a lot of people talk. Your eyes is your best teacher. So that's what my dad taught me. I talked through his eyes. And even at nearly 49 years old, I'm still watching my dad, who's 74 years old, because I'm still a son to him. And that's what I've learned.
Can I ask this? Because you're talking about like, and I'm thinking like just opening up your eyes to, because you had that father, right? You had that father figure, but it had to have been eye-opening as you get out there and you're mentoring
Yes.
these young kids who don't have that. Or like you
Yes.
said, when your mother asked you to do that, you're like, well, wait a minute, where's his father? Because you're thinking, father.
Yeah.
How has that experience been, the eye-opening experience of the life situations and the stories that you hear from these young boys that you're mentoring?
I think it's hurtful to know that young men got to go through this. I understand how life works. Everybody's not going to have the perfect path
Right.
to go through life. These young men, some of these young men need to go through this to make them even stronger. So that's why the name of my organization is so powerful. They got to go through this. And so when you're saying stronger than my father, you're making sure that they can be stronger. But for me, it was very eye-opening because I was very hurt that a man can lay down with a woman and then cannot be responsible enough to say, you know what, that's my child, boy or girl, and I'm going to take care of it. And that's the thing that's eye-opening to me, because I've seen that so many men can become selfish because it's about me. My father told me, when you become a father, it's not about you anymore. It's about you putting your legacy, everything into your son. So I've sacrificed a lot of stuff I want to do because me and my wife chose to have children. So these are things that's out for me, that I've seen selfishness, I've seen men. And sometimes here's the thing, I don't even blame men all the time. It's because if you haven't been trained, if you haven't been taught, you don't know.
Yeah.
And then if social media and then other people who's never been fathered teach you, because your brain is always moving, that teaches you this, then that's going to be your problem. So that's what I've seen as eye-opener. It's hurtful. The work that I do, when young men tell me, hey man, my dad cheated on my mom, and he don't want to be with me. Why does my dad love me? Those things are hurtful. And I have to take that with me. So that's why I pour so much of my life in him. And I've realized that, hey, Marcus, you're not going to be able to do some of the things that you want to do in this life. Your life is to serve and to pour into these young men because they've never had what you had. And so that's kind of what's the most hurtful thing for me.
And you mentioned social media.
Yeah.
And also, we are in a different generation than you were when you grew up with your dad. There are different things that young men have to face, and the Black community is a little different. We're a lot more fractured now than we were a couple generations ago.
Yeah.
What do you believe young Black boys need the most from their fathers or other male role models in today's world?
I think consistency and love is the two things boys need.
Okay.
Consistency. Because when young men already heard that their dad is not there,
Yeah.
you come into their lives, they get connected with you, and then you just don't want to abandon them. Then they're going through that same pain again. They're going through that same hurt again. So with my mentorship program, I'm with you as long as you want to stick with me. That's what I tell my boys. I'm always going to be there. I'm a phone call away. If you need me, I'm there. When young boys don't get that, that's when the pain, anger, resentment comes. And when those things come, then all type of emotions come with it. And it's because they hurt that somebody does not love me. And sometimes these men, these boys take out that love in the wrong way. They take it out in the wrong way. So I'm going to sleep with you, and I ain't going to be there for you because I'm hurt and I'm mad because they haven't dealt with those things. A good father does not teach a child that.
Yeah.
A good father teaches responsibility, and that's what my father taught me. So for me, I'm trying to teach you that. So if I spend time with you as a young man, I'm going to be sure that I'm making sure I'm making that time, commitment, and consistency. When I volunteered at West End this past school year, I always wanted to go into the school, never had a chance. I always wanted to go into school. And one day I missed a session because of my schedule. One of the young men told the counselor, can you please call Mr. Marcus to be sure he's not abandoned us?
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So he calls me.
And he had to have felt that in his nervous system.
Yeah.
Where is he today?
Yeah. And so he calls me. I said, what's going on, Carter? He said, Mr. Marcus, where you at? Because I would go meet the boys for lunch every Tuesday. I'm consistent. And I said, I had a schedule conflict, but I'll be there next week. Oh, okay. Just want to be sure you're good.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Boys are looking for that because it was already built in them by God. If you believe in God, you don't have it's built in them that these boys are looking for somebody to love them
Yes.
and to be there for them. And so when you see a lot of relationships broken and all these other things, it always tends back to what you was taught as a child. My mother said this on my podcast. She says the greatest impact on a child's life is what they see in the home.
Yes.
The greatest impact. So how I operate, how I move was what I saw in the house for, I don't know how many years. I think I lived in my house till like 22. And then my dad said, get out.
Get out.
But that's what I've learned.
Okay.
Let me ask you this, and we're talking about, I guess in a sense, even generational cycles. I
Yes.
mean, you know what I mean? Because it really kind of continues. If their father, wasn't there, then you're really pouring into them because we really want to break that
Cycle.
that generational cycle.
Mm.
But also, I'm thinking, how do you go about teaching boys and mentoring them? Like, we live in this, it's all about being tough. Boys don't cry. How do you teach them into, manhood, developing into becoming a man, but being strong, yet it's okay to have those emotions, okay to have that
Being
balance?
emotionally intelligent.
I think that teaching is just telling them.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right to cry.
Mm-hmm.
You just tell them. And it's okay to cry. I've cried many days. I've cried with my boys. It's okay to cry. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't let society tell you what you can and can't do.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that society, and like you said earlier, these phones, they tell kids what they're supposed to do. It's okay to cry.
Yeah.
Jesus cried. Jesus wept. It's in the Bible.
There you go.
So
Yes.
anytime you educate, it's all about teaching. It's teaching, telling them. And then they're seeing somebody who can be vulnerable with them.
Yeah.
So I've hugged a young man and we both cried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, why doesn't my dad love me? And he's on my arm. I said, look, son, it's going to be okay. I said, you got somebody here who's going to sacrifice and take time with you. So that's what I'm saying. It's teaching.
Yeah.
Teaching them it's okay
Yeah.
to cry. And that's the thing. I think sometimes we as men, my dad really never taught that. I didn't see my dad cry until we went to funerals. Like when his mom died, my dad, I didn't see him cry as a man.
Yeah.
But I seen my dad vulnerable when he lost family members. I seen my dad at that vulnerable state. And I said, oh, okay, it's okay to be that. But my dad has never said it's not okay to cry.
Yeah.
It's not okay to cry because my dad has done it multiple times. And when my wife told me my son was diagnosed with autism, I lost it. I cried like, what the crap is wrong? God, why you do this to my first child? I'm losing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was my mother who put me back together. And she said, hey, nothing wrong. God didn't make no mistake. It's okay. So I think it's okay for men to cry. I think it's nothing wrong being vulnerable. And if you got the right person with you, then you both be vulnerable together. But it's nothing wrong with a man cry.
Yes.
So I think that even some of us who had fathers in the home can sometimes struggle with self-worth.
Yeah.
What have you seen, or how do you nourish that part of a young Black boy that may have had a father, may not have had a father, but is in today's world and doesn't have the self-worth to have the work ethic, the vision for themselves, to think that they can have a good life, to think that they're worth more than they see their friends doing drugs and, kind of fall into some of those traps?
Yeah.
How do you minister to that part of a young man?
Who said he has no self-worth? First of all, I would tell him, who told you that? Because there's no such thing as not having self-worth. I said, and if you look at our mission, you're here on earth for a purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're here for a reason. And every day you wake up, you're here for a reason. I think that we shared a quote that sticks and stones, something with words may not hurt. It's a lie. Telling young men that you're worth something, but also showing them.
Mm-hmm.
Showing them on a consistent basis. And I tell moms, single moms who's a single mom, do not damage your child by what you say to them. Because you frustrated with life, you're going to take it out on your child.
Yeah.
The child remembers that stuff. Watch your words. I don't care how frustrated you are. Watch your words. I do not tell my son, you autistic, and I don't do none of that.
Right.
I tell my son who's autistic, he's about to start his first summer job on Monday. I said, son, you're going to go in, you're going to be the best you can be, and you do the best you can.
Yeah.
And whatever happens, your mom and daddy love you.
Yeah.
That's putting words into a child who's autistic.
Yeah.
And as parents, that's very hard when you got to, as a child is 16, you got 2 more years about to be 18, just got to get into the real world. And and I told my son, people going to make fun of you. Get used to it. My mother told me that years ago. She said, when you live or you die, people going to always talk about you.
Yes.
Yep.
Get used to it.
True.
So
Yes.
even in my business, there's
Yes.
people who like Marcus, there's people who don't like Marcus. I don't care. I care about the work.
Be worried when they stop talking about
Yes,
it.
I care about you know how many people have talked about Marcus
Exactly.
in the 12 years strong my father been here?
Wow.
I don't care. I care about a young man that's going to be able to have a future and a brighter life because he's going to one day be a father.
Yes.
Because we got all the mechanisms to have children.
Yeah.
So one day you're going to be a daddy.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, are you going to take care of that child? And even if you don't like the mama, you make sure she's good.
Yeah.
Because if she's raising your child,
Yeah.
you need to be working hard to be sure she's good.
Absolutely. Make sure the mama
So it's good. So, but if you're not trained that way and you're going through all these emotions of not self-worth and all that, that stuff tends into marriage, it tends into relationships.
It does.
And so for me, that sees that a lot of marriages that last only, marriage is 50-50. I've heard relationships, why they breaking up? Or I ask people, you go lay with this woman, have a child, then you can't stand her. That's just confusing to me. So that's the thing I think that words, when you say words, it's so important to try as a parent to put positivity in your child's life because they're going to carry that forever. I bet you guys can remember somebody maybe saying something negative to you. And you can bring that back up in your memory. And so you can do two things. You can allow that negativity to destroy you.
That's right.
Or you allow that negativity to be motivation.
Yeah.
There's people who told me strong as my father would not last.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to do?
Yes.
I'm going to piss you off.
There you go.
Show you
Okay.
that you can't stop Marcus Meneses. Only God can stop Marcus. So that's why I tell people words. Because I've had it. I've had people tell me that you ain't smart as your brother. You ain't going to finish college.
Wow.
Going back to school in my 30s motivated me to show people that I'm smart enough to go to college. I don't care less about my degrees now, but I want to show people that you're not strong. So when you ask me the question about young men, I tell them my story.
Yeah.
And I tell them, man, don't listen to nothing nobody tell you that's negative.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Or use that negativity to fuel you to prove somebody wrong. That's what I use that negativity for.
So from the perspective of the father, what role does healing and really pouring into yourself as a man who is a father play in the role of you actually pouring into your children?
I think for me, I've never really had a bad childhood. When people ask me about healing and stuff like that,
But you've seen some broken fathers.
I've seen broken fathers from just interviewing on my podcast.
Yeah.
I've seen broken fathers because the father just was not there for them. And they're upset and they're hurt and they still asking questions. Why wasn't he there? Yeah. Even in their adulthood, they still asking questions. Why is my dad not there? I encourage fathers. I said, look, every man should have a good mentor. Somebody you can just pour and talk to you that's going to pour into you. You cannot, as a dad, continue to feel sorry for yourself when you have children. You as a man got to you got to wake up and and realize you have the opportunity now to break the cycle. You have an opportunity now to point to another child and make sure that child is going to make it. One of the great examples I think we see that we don't talk about a lot is LeBron James, a man who has no father, but look what he's doing now.
Yeah.
People hate on LeBron.
They do.
And we're ready to talk about the negativity of LeBron.
Yeah.
Right.
Bronny going to NBA.
Right.
Everybody's mad.
Right.
Everybody's mad because Bronny's going to NBA.
Right.
But look, what if Bronny was going out here getting drunk or acting crazy?
Exactly.
So now, another example, Zion Williamson, another NBA player, no father. Now he's been accused of rape. All these things that he had opportunity to make money, he can make impact in this world, but that lifestyle gets a hold of him. LeBron had the right people around him. And now if LeBron has done dirt, you may not never know it.
Right.
At the end of the day, look what he's doing for his children. And my dad says, a man should always make sure his children look good. When LeBron go out, you see his family, do they look crazy? They look like they look all crazy, tatted up and looking
Wonderful
crazy.
family. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Somebody got to LeBron early. If you get to kids early, you can mold them any way you can want to mold them. That's why I want a strong mind body to be preventative. Don't give me a kid at 17, 18 that's already, that's not going to work for Marcus.
Right.
Give me to me at second grade.
Yeah, that's a good
I'll
one.
mold them.
Yeah.
I'll put them where they need to be. I'll give them the exposure they need to be.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to guide them where he needs to go.
Okay.
But I tell people, don't get into me when they 17. I can't do nothing with them. I don't have the patience.
Right.
Not in my age now. Maybe if I was in my 20s, I may have patience. I have no patience now. So if you don't want it, go find somebody else. If you want to have a better life, you want the right tools, you call me, you were strong as my father. And that's what I'm trying to mold the next guy who's going to take my spot and do that. Go ahead.
What does that look like then? What the mentoring program, Stronger Than My
Yes.
Father? Walk us through that. What does that look like? How do they get involved?
Yeah, that's right. No, great question. I've changed the model several times just because I had to see what the need was.
Right.
I started with just picking up a child, just hanging out with them.
Mm-hmm.
And that worked up to a certain point.
Right.
And then I did after school. Thought, that would work. They went to a certain point. Then I relaunched my mentorship in 22 called the Stronger Sons, which I'm currently doing now, which we have a group of young men that meets every first and third Saturday. We do a service, learn, and work project every first and third.
Mm-hmm.
It could be from us volunteering and doing work. We go to the Century Garden for the blind. These boys got to move rocks. They got to cut grass and they complain. And I tell them, I don't care. Either you want to do it or you want to quit.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if you want to eat lunch, you're going to work.
Yeah.
And the great part about it is my two sons are there.
Yeah.
They ain't sitting at home. They right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they seeing dad work. So that's one part I wanted to do and to grow and then Stronger Sons. So every first and third Saturday, we've done grilling this year.
Wow.
Teach them, but these boys had so much fun learning how just to grill. My dad trained me how to grill, and how to cook. Cause he said, and my mom trained me how to cook. Cause she said, you may get a wife who can't cook and you won't starve. So we were trained how to cook. And so that's a whole nother story about, especially getting married and talking to her about, learn how to cook. But, that's how our program is. It's teaching them. It's spending every other Saturday for 3 to 4 hours together, just teaching you and pointing to you different skills. We do activities, just the fun game of Jenga.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, it's think before you move.
Yeah.
I teach these boys that every decision you make comes with a consequence.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Every decision,
Yes.
good or bad, it's going to come with a consequence.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to train you
Mm-hmm.
that when you pull that block, the top block is very easy life. I said, life is hard. So if you see some of the pictures, you'll see boys on the ground grabbing that block at the bottom. And they'll grab it, and when the block starts shaking, they'll let it go.
Mm-hmm.
I get right on the floor with them. You better touch that. You touch the block, you're going to fight through that block. You're going to fight through it. And one kid dropped all the blocks, and he just lost it. So if you see a picture of me on Facebook talking to this kid with a hoodie on, that was that kid.
Wow.
And he was crying because he felt like his life is over. That's when you pour into him. Look, son, you just made a bad move. This is what life is about.
Yeah.
It's teaching you to make the right move because it's hard.
And
It's
for your resilience
There
when
you go.
make a bad move. Mistakes
Exactly.
are a part of the process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we do with Strong My Father. And then I just started this year going to the schools.
Yeah.
Because I realized, I said, okay, I only see the boys every 2 weeks, but what are they going through during the week? So a counselor, Miss Boone, I got to give her a shout out. She gave me an opportunity to go to West End Middle School.
Also, thank you.
I had never seen in my years of living what I saw at West End. And I'm seeing young boys from the hood who's one step away from getting kicked out.
Wow.
So coming in, they wasn't really receptive, but I showed up every week.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what y'all eating for lunch? All right. And then we would do activities. But then we took some gifts to somebody's house for Christmas.
Yeah.
And I seen their living conditions. I seen one mom come out, we giving her gifts, and she got like 5, 6 kids coming down the steps.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, where is daddy?
Mm-hmm.
Where is daddy to want to love and take care of his family?
Mm.
So that young man, and I was telling your colleague before we recorded, that young man, every week I would go into West End. As they walk in the room, there was rules. If you ain't dressed properly, I send you back to the cafeteria. You come in with some house shoes, you're going back to the cafeteria. you're going to look like a man when you come in here. But I always greeted him, hey, son.
Yeah.
I greeted him all the time. Hey, son, Dad. One day this young man said, do not call me your son because I ain't your son. That was the first time it ever happened. And so for me, I was like, okay. I didn't get mad. I said, he needs more love and attention. So I said, you know what? I apologize. We just fist bump every time you come in. I said, what are we going to do this summer? I don't know. I said, you know what? I'm going to come get you. You want to go to football camps? I'm going to book them. I'm going to travel. We're going to go. And these boys, that's just how I want Strong My Father to be. It's a little bit unorthodox how I do things, but I'm trying to pour into you the knowledge that you need to make it out here because we live in a society that do not care about you.
Yeah.
So how does a young man know how to make it out here in the world if nobody pour into you? So that's what I want Strong in My Father to be. It's a program that just wants to pour into you, give you the knowledge, the cause, and tell you the truth about how this world works. Tell you the honest truth. And that's what I am. I'm a person going to tell you the honest truth. I'm going to try to, if you tell me a career, I'm going to try to find somebody to hire you.
Right.
So I call companies, but I tell the young men, you're going to have to dress the part. You got to look proper. Oh, I ain't calling.
Yeah.
So do you want a job, a career, or do you want to go live in the hood? And I tell these boys, what do you want? Your environment, where you live at, or do you want a better life? I said, a better life is out here, but you got to put in the work. And I tell them that life is still going to give you some uppercuts. You got to know how to deal with them uppercuts and keep moving.
Yeah.
That's what they have to learn. And I've gone through them, especially trying to run a nonprofit. It's very hard work. It's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
And the most average nonprofits last 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And I've been going on nearly 12, and probably why I got more gray on my beard doing it, but that's why I wanted Strong in My Father to be. And then we got some things, and I know she's going to answer that question close to the end, is what my next ideal and vision is. But it came through working at West End Middle because I saw what they're not getting. And I said, I see why now these boys are 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah.
And they're already thinking about crime.
Yeah.
Why are they not thinking about what they want to do with their lives, exposure and stuff like that? They already thinking about, I'm going to go carjack. I drive a Charger. Mr. Marcus, you better be careful. Somebody may jack your Charger. That's what they're thinking in their head right now. And I don't think society really knows. And we see it on TV. And why are these boys carjacking? Why are they doing this? Why? You know what? It's already ingrained early. So that's what I said.
Don't have the right role models to look up to.
Right.
I did my doctoral dissertation work on role model selection amongst adolescents.
Yeah.
You know, what is it about someone that you identify with that makes you want to be like them?
Yeah.
All of the Black kids chose people in sports and entertainment.
Right.
I had a big diverse group. So I had Arabic kids, Hispanic kids. A lot of them looked up to political figures in their culture or, you know, movers and shakers. But the Black kids only looked up to sports and entertainment people.
Yeah, it's true.
Because those are our most prominent role models in our Black community. So I think just your ever presence and showing up, and it sounds like you have a large capacity to work with young Black boys, but where I was going with this, how do we bring these fathers into the fold?
Yes.
They have fathers, and there are older Black men out there that are broken that maybe don't know how to repair the relationship because maybe they've been absent for 4 or 5 years and they think they can't do it. But that becomes a generational curse.
Yeah.
If we don't bring the fathers into the fold and make them part of this work in the community, then we are missing a big piece.
I agree with that.
So just from your perspective and what you have seen, how do we engage that part?
I think fathers got to want to do it. That's number one. You got to want to be there for your child. You got to want to be there to say, you know what, I want to fix my situation.
Yeah.
I think you can create
Little boys too, as they're at heart.
exactly. And there's plenty of movies out here that shows that. I don't know. Yeah, I watch movies. I watch different things, and I can see. Everybody tell people don't take psychology. It's too much out of you. But young fathers have to want to be there. Fathers got to want to say, you know what? If I have issues in my life, I need to try to find a way to fix it. I did a podcast, and I said, fathers, you should look for a mentor that can help you. Google what programs out here if you really want to do it, because we can create 1,000 programs, but until a person wants to change their life,
Right.
there's nothing you're going to be able to do.
Yeah.
It's got to be a dad that wakes up and says, you know what?
Yeah.
I want to change my life and be there for their son. One of the best movies I ever seen was South Central. And what happened? The father went to prison.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then the guy in the jail was telling him that you got a chance to change your life. And I love that scene. And that's how I got the cycle ends with me. He kept saying, me and your brothers, we got to be there for each other. But you have a son, go change his life. I mean, go save your son. Oh, he said, go save your boy. And at the end of the movie, there was the gang leader had a gun to his son. And what did he say? He said, what you doing is you holding my boy. What you holding is my son. He says, I'm trying to give him something me and you never had.
Right. Right.
And what did that guy say? He said, I'm willing to lose my life for my son.
Yeah.
He said, and then he told the guy, do you love my son? Fathers has to want to change. Now, we can go out here and speak. We can talk.
Right.
I tell churches, y'all ain't talking about fatherhood enough. The only time we talk about fatherhood is on Father's Day. And I said, that's it. And I understand how the church works. I said, you got 85% women, y'all gonna cater and y'all message is gonna be emotional for women.
That's right.
So that's the game.
Yes, it is.
And that's why I tell you, I don't care if you like Mark or not, I done figured out the game.
Yeah.
All right. So if you don't tell fathers, you can change your life, be there for your son, be there for your daughter. They need you.
Yes.
Find somebody. Google.
Yeah.
You're on your phone all the time. We're looking at Instagram and Reels and we laugh and we joke. Research. Say who's out here that can help change my life. Give me some tools so I can be a better father for my children. Because what's going to happen is that your child going to learn good or bad. It's going to happen. And if you don't, what your child puts in their head is where they're going to go. Men have to find help because if you don't get help, you're going to go into a relationship and how you going to know how to love a woman?
Yeah.
And take care of a woman if you've never been loved yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you going to know how to do it?
But I think too, isn't it just, it's about presence too,
Yeah.
just being there. And maybe there are men that feel like I don't financially have it together because society, maybe baby mama or, is thinking about money, which you have to have money to raise children these days. There is not cheap. So maybe there's that conflict there. Like I don't have myself together, and maybe there are some that are waiting to get themselves together. But don't you think the presence, just be present first, and you do the work?
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Like,
I would tell people, number one, that's all excuses.
okay,
Yeah, I don't have the finances. My dad told me if you got to work 3 jobs, you do what you got to do to take care of your family. So I think that's an excuse when people say, I don't have it all together. All right, go get it together. Because here's the thing I think we both know. Time waits for no man.
Right.
So while you try and get yourself together, your child is having 6, 7, 8, things gonna keep going. But you're going to have the same excuse that what? I ain't got myself together. I remember before I got married, I lost my job. My daddy said, go work 2 jobs, but you're going to get married.
Yeah.
So I was going to back out and say, Daddy, it ain't the right time. The finances. Daddy said, you're going to go work 2 jobs, but you're going to get married.
Right.
He said, you people don't spend all this money for your wedding. You're going to go work. That's all you had to tell them.
Yeah.
So when men keep saying that, oh, I got to get myself together, man, it's excuses because your child still lives. Find help. Google. Find help.
Help is there. Help.
There are organizations that's out here that's helping. It's not a lot that helps fathers. I'm going to say that. I haven't seen a lot of organizations that help fathers.
Okay.
I'm always open book. I tell people, you can call Mark. I'll have coffee with you.
Right.
What's your problem?
Right.
All right. Let me tell you 2 or 3 things you need to do. You can always call me. Even though I have a great father, I have great things in my life, I still got a guy that I talk to, and I call him my big brother.
Yeah.
And because I go through things.
Right.
But we and him were both father, and he grew up without a father.
Right.
But I asked him, how did you change your life? He says, I wanted to be a daddy. So I did the work so I can be a good father. So when they use these excuses, that's excuses. It's excuses because there's enough resources out here if you want to change. Just like if you want to go get a different job, if you want to get a different career, you're going to find how to do it.
Yeah.
Go find out how to be a good daddy and find organizations that's going to try to give you some tools to help you. So I think it's just all excuses. That's just my opinion.
You think they realize though that they're making excuses? Because if you can only meet someone as deeply as you've met yourself, and if you haven't been vulnerable with those parts of you that are unhealed, or maybe you had delays coming up as a young man into your adult self, and then you made these children. I think some of these men are lost, honestly, and they haven't met that part of their self to realize and come into the awareness that this is an excuse.
Okay.
You don't have the self-value, so you feel like you got to go chase the bag.
Exactly.
Really, it's another problem that you haven't dealt with, that you're not ready to dig into those emotions. And you don't want your son to see you as a broken man. That pride is going to be forward facing, So how do we like, just as a Black community as a whole, sort of peel back the layers of what I think collectively is going on with a lot of men that are coming up in this generation?
Great question. I thought about, and I'm still thinking about doing this, developing a fatherhood circle.
I love that idea.
And so
Oh my,
I wanted to do, I'm thinking about doing it in the fall, where
love that.
where men can come be a part of the circle.
Because they're not getting it at the church, like you said.
And the church should be doing it, but I ain't gonna go into that. I ain't gonna mess up y'all podcast.
So don't do it.
Y'all get the highest rating if I but I think y'all know y'all did.
Camera stops.
But cause I've done it on my podcast, and it went viral. But I've been viral a couple of times. But I think that I just say I'd say churches, because you don't have a lot of men in churches. I think that if you develop a circle where men can be vulnerable, and it's very private, no social media.
Yeah. Right.
And if men could come, you encourage them. This is your opportunity to change your life.
Yes,
Be a part of the circle.
will not be telling.
Part of the circle. So I'm thinking about doing that in the fall.
Okay.
But I won't lead it because I haven't been through a lot of these guys gone through. So I got a friend who can help me get started, but I look for somebody who's been through it.
Okay.
Who's been through child support.
Yes.
Okay.
I've never been through child support. I ain't learned about child support until I was 22.
Right.
I ain't know anything about it. My dad never told me about child support. Right. He just says, be careful out there. Don't try to get no baby. So, he told me that. But I think that if men can be a part of something that can be vulnerable and cry, it's private. That's where you start. And then you find people in that group that can give you the tools, what it takes. If it's finding a job, if it's dealing with child support, if it's dealing with, I don't know how to deal with my baby mama. Find somebody that can give you the tools, and you can be vulnerable. You can cry, and that's what you do. If more men can do conferences, because I see, I'm gonna get y'all in trouble. I've seen the things that I get frustrated about. I see a ton of revivals,
and they need to be free.
Come get your oil and come out. Like, man, y'all stop all these gimmicks,
right?
And find a revival. I said, I've never seen a revival. So that we're going to help repair broken men.
Yeah.
I've never seen that revival that says we're going to repair these men, and men come out, get help.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it starts. So because the churches back in the 60s was a place where everybody gathered to get information and stuff like that. Now church is a business, and it's about popularity. So that's just my opinion. But if you want to repair men, why not have something for them right there? Hey, we're going to eat some barbecue. And we're going to talk about this and that. What do you need as a man? You come to this group, be sincere. Where do you need help at? Then let them talk. Write it down. Okay, every month we're going to talk about this. Every month we're going to do this. And be genuine to help that man. That man may open up and say, this program can finally help me have the opportunity to live my life. And then you close it down because, I don't care if you ain't got no money. Yeah. Just find somebody who can put a circle together and these men be vulnerable and cry. So that's what my opinion. I think that's what needs to be done. And I'm really thinking about it. But fatherhood has never been in my lane. But I think that if I listen to you, and then the thing I thought about bringing my dad. My dad is 75, got a lot of wisdom. Yeah. He's old school, but he never allowed excuses to stop him.
And there's a scripture coming to mind, and I just read it this morning. It's where you put the two chords together, and they're stronger than the one chord on its own.
I agree with that.
You have a large capacity, but you can't do it all on your own.
No,
so you have to do it in community to really make that impact.
And you got to find people who's sincere about making a change. Who is sincere? It's not about. I tell people all the time, it's not about being popular on social media. I said, because my mom told me this. are you going to do it for self or are you doing it for God?
Right.
And
Yes.
she told me a long time ago. And ever since she told me that, if you go to my social media, I only post the work.
Yeah.
I'm not posting happy anniversary to me and my wife. Who cares about that? I'm not going to post that.
I got you.
And we both, and the thing about marriage, we both understand that. We don't care about
I
that.
love that.
We don't care about, hey, y'all, and it's cool if you do it.
Right.
But for me, I don't.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
if you're going to post something, post and that's just me. This is a Marcus thing. I always post what my work is. And I think that if we're really trying to help dads, we're really trying to repair broken families, is that fine? It could be 2 or 3 guys who just said, you know what? Let's help men have a shot. Let's help. And I think I'm always open. If whoever listens to the podcast and reach out to me, they give you my contact. I would love to partner with 2 or 3 guys and say, you know what? Let's put this thing together.
Yes.
And it's about us changing lives. And so that's where it starts. And maybe that's the next area where I go. But I think just listening to men, and that's why my podcast, I did that. So I listen. Okay, if you need help, okay, you was abused as a child. Let's find somebody that can help you.
That's right.
Call people. There are people that can help you. If you pick up the phone and call, there are people that can help you. But I tell men, if you sit on this, you're going to damage other people.
Yeah.
You're going to damage other women.
Generations.
Going through probably the same thing you're going through.
Yes. Absolutely.
And one of y'all is trying to find help.
Yes. Yes.
But because you hurt and you selfish,
Yes.
you're going to damage another woman because you're selfish.
Yeah.
So
You are.
my wife grew up without her dad. My wife grew up without her dad. My mother grew up without her father. My mother at 12 years old was working in the cotton field. She looked up to God and she said, Lord, bless me with a husband that can take care of my children so they don't have to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad hardly goes to church. He go to church probably just to see his grandkids. And I've seen 2 church people can't stay. You can say, I'm saved, run up and down the church, but you can't stay married. So I look at that like, why you know what? And I told my wife, it all goes back to the daddy. It always goes back to what did you learn at home. So,
Close down.
and my dad is old school. He lives in the country with goats and hogs. And my mother and my father have been married nearly 54 years. Never seen a counselor. And the thing that my mother and dad, I've seen they act the same way they acted I was as a child. I'm going to see them this afternoon for my brother's birthday party. When people at our church see my mom, every Sunday when she's walking out to her car, her children are following right behind her.
Yeah.
And they see us as a family just about every Sunday.
That's so.
And you know how many people at my church call my dad their dad? And this is a guy who we say, quote unquote, your dad's not saved, you're not give a crap. I care about what my dad's legacy will be of raising his children. And you can see my mom, we're probably one of the only 2 families that every Sunday their children are in church.
Yeah.
So it's what you build as a man. And I said all that learned from my father.
Yeah.
I took a picture with my dad in 2019 with my 2 sons. Because I wanted my sons to always see who their dad was. But for my wife, she struggled with the validation, saying that, because we grew up in home, we didn't say I love you all the time. We didn't say that. I don't think I hugged my dad 2 or 3 times in my life. We didn't care. He was just there.
Yeah.
And my dad told me before I got married what you're going to have to deal with. He said, because your mom and dad were not having a daddy, here's what you're going to deal with, son, with your wife.
Yeah.
And when these things happen, this is what you do. So when them things start popping up, I was like, you know what? Daddy told me that was going to happen. But at the end of the day, I told my mother-in-law, and this crazy part, I didn't even know, that's why I didn't know about father before I got married, is that I asked my wife, who do I talk to, your mom or your daddy? She said, talk to my mama. I never said, why I don't talk to your daddy? I ain't never say that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think people was going through father issues.
Yeah.
Because I got engaged at, 24 or something. And it was, I told my mother-in-law I would take care of your daughter. And my wife was 36. I remember my mother-in-law told me, she says, Marcus, now one night I go to sleep worrying that my daughter's not safe.
Awesome.
And she said she is safe. And so that's, I told her, and then her and mom talk every day. My mother-in-law, and it was people who told my mother-in-law at church, we talking about church, that don't let Marcus marry your daughter. He angry. Don't let Marcus marry your daughter because he going to beat her up.
Wow.
People told my mother-in-law that. Like, that's who I am. Who you see is who I am. But they never lived in Paul and Connie Meneses' home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for my father, and if you go to my Instagram, you see the first post is me. I was at a conference, me and my dad's talking simultaneously. I'm talking about what I learned, and he's talking about what he learned from his father.
Wow.
And he says, I never seen my daddy raise his voice at my mama. I never seen my dad put his hand on my mama. All I seen my daddy do was work and give my mama the money. All he wanted was a pack of cigarettes and some Coke, a Diet Coke. I mean, a regular Coke. He said he gave his money to his mom. I mean, his mom. So daddy put that in us.
Yeah.
Now it's our choice as a man to take what he poured in us and do it.
That's right.
Because my mom told us after 18 years, if you go ahead and do something crazy, it ain't our fault. Because we taught you everything from right and wrong up to 18. So that's why I say as men, you know, I can give out the knowledge, you know, and if you sit back, I tell people, oh, he think he's, no. Y'all don't, I tell people, you don't realize, I don't want to do none of this stuff. But my mom told me this. She said, you've been blessed with a wealth of knowledge. If you can't save one child, you selfish. Now, she didn't say that to my other two brothers, but she said it to me.
Yeah.
And so that's why I say where fatherhood comes back into a circle, it's all about what you see and know, and you got to want to change. You got to want to change. And like I said, end of the day, it's about your child. Yeah. And then, you know who I really admire was Fred Hammond. He said him and his wife got divorced, but he said, you know what? I took care of her and I took care of my kids because she was the one taking care of them. So I felt as a man the responsibility to be sure she was okay and my children okay. Even if you don't get along with the mom, try your best to make sure. But at the end of the day, your children is going to always watch you and they're going to see what you're doing. So it's up to you as a man. So don't make the excuses of, I'm okay, if you're broken, go get fixed.
Yes.
Just like your car get broke, go get it fixed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go get it fixed, because I tell men, as long every day you wake up, God has a purpose for you in this world.
Yeah.
And if your purpose is just to be a good father, that's what you do.
Yeah.
So when you die, you can say, I left everything in my children.
That's right.
That my children can move forward. My dad said this at a marriage retreat. He said, this was 2005. He said, I worked hard and worked my sons hard. Well, she did. We worked hard than the average child. He said, if I died tomorrow, my boys know how to make it.
Yes.
And that's what every good father should want to do. If I died, my children should have seen enough in my life
That's right.
that they know how to make it. And that's what I think fathers should do. And I think until you get to that point, then you're going to continue to have the issues you have, the bad relationships, the domestic violence, all these things you're going to continue to see, because no man, my dad taught me this at an early age, no man should ever put his hands on a woman. Right. No matter what. He said, if you're in a bad argument and you feel like hitting it, get in your car and just drive off and leave.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
So he said, under no circumstances, unless you have to just defend yourself, that you put your hand on a woman. So I think these things.
And I'll say this, you know, we always go back to, especially this season, we've been talking about self-mastery, really starting with self. And just like you've been saying, having men to get that help.
Yeah.
Can you do this as we're, you know, we'll be going into Father's Day? Can you speak to the viewers, have like a Father's Day message and talk to them about just what your message, just kind of speak to the fathers out there.
I think that every father, if you're a dad, at the end of the day, it's just, you're responsible for taking care of your child. Find the proper help that it takes for you to raise your child. And if you don't know how to do it, ask for help to help raise your son or your daughter. Your children need you, no matter what. You got children that are broken because they don't know where their dad is and they don't get the love. I would tell men, hug your child. Tell your child, if you have a son or a daughter, hug your children. Tell them that you love them as much as you can. Life is short. And as a man, you should want to leave something into your children that when something happens to you, your children can continue to cycle and continue to go. So no matter what, fight for your child. Fight for your child, no matter what.
Yes.
Don't let circumstances destroy your children, because your children will grow up and become something. What do you want to see your child? You want to see your child being successful? Or do you want to go pick them up in jail? or juvenile? Where do you want to see your children at? So as fathers, I encourage you to do your best as a dad. Find tools that's going to help you be the best father you can be. No father is perfect. I'm not perfect, but I work hard every day when I get up and I see my children that I can be the best dad that I can be.
Where can they follow you?
They can follow me on all social media, Stronger Than My Father. You can go to my Facebook page at Marcus Meneses. And then my website is strongerthanmyfather.org for more information on mentorship. And like I said, we are looking to do something special this next go around. In the area that I've seen that kids need the most is exposure. Working at West End Middle School, I asked this young man who's 13 years old. He lives in Edge Hill Projects. I asked him, have you seen anything outside the projects in 13 years? He said, I've never seen anything out there. All he's seen is crime, cussing in the house, going off. That's all he's seen in 13 years. So we're, as an educator, with a doctoral, where do y'all see this young man going in the next 3 to 5 years? If he's not getting any exposure, where is he going? Truthfully, where is he going? If he does not get any exposure, where's he going?
That same cycle right there.
Okay, exactly. Most likely he's going down that route. But what if he could see that he could learn how to record a podcast? What if he could find his gift?
Yeah.
And says, you know what, I want to do either construction or I want to learn how to be a graphic design artist.
Right.
I said there's enough people in this world. And I told Black men that if you're successful, why can't you go save one?
Yes.
If God has blessed you with a good life,
Yes.
you educated, you got a nice car, you
Yes.
got all these things that you want to show out on social media. Why can't you say, you know what, I'm going to show this one kid how I made it? If you had every Black man to do that, I don't think we'll have a serious fatherless problem. So I use my life to teach them what I need to show them. And I think that's where I think us as men need to go. I hope our next venture is to show at our facility entrepreneurship and leadership development. And if I can get them 6th grade through senior year, most likely they ain't going to jail. They ain't going to juvenile.
Yeah.
And one thing we're going to do with our program is continue to service the single moms.
Yes.
Give them the support they need.
Yes.
Help them, because if they mentally got it together, they're going to be sure their kids good. Then we got a whole community where we ain't going down juvenile to see kids in juvie. And I tell kids that's in my program, if you go to jail, don't call me. I've only done one jail visit, and I refuse to do any more jail visits because I'm not trying to train you to go to jail.
And I just want to highlight one very important thing as we wrap that you mentioned, and that's about teaching them love, because a lot of Black men are surviving, but they're not thriving. I want to see young Black boys have joy,
Yes.
have love, and be happy in life, and not just be trying to always hold it together. So love on these young Black boys, love on the fathers, teach them how to love.
I think that young men watches through what they see. I've had young men tell me in my program, he's not my dad, but he acts like he's my dad. And because kids are looking for daddy.
Yeah.
Kids, boys, girls, adults, women, men, they all looking for my dad. We all, if you grew up with your father,
Yeah.
I'm still that little kid when I see my dad.
Yes. Yes.
I am. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm almost 49 years old. I see Pop. I'm that little kid that grew up as a young child.
Yeah.
And I say the last story, I know I gotta go, is that my dad trained us how to work on cars. So my dad has all the tools to help me fix brakes on my car. So I take my car, I said, Pop, I need your tools, I'm gonna go change my brakes. My dad said, get out the way. I'm gonna change them for you. I'm like, Pop, I've been changing brakes for over 20 years. My dad still wanted to be a father to me. I'm just sitting here watching him. Now I could have took pictures and posted all that on Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This is fatherhood and all that, but I just didn't. I didn't feel led to. And my dad was there still trying to be a daddy.
And our daddies have passed on, and we miss them dearly.
Yes.
But we just want to say Happy Father's
Yes.
Day to all the fathers out there.
Yes.
We love you. We appreciate you and your presence in the community, and we honor you.
Yes.
So God bless.
Yes. And it was nice having you. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. It was an honor to have you here on Black Coffee Conversations. Looking forward to hearing more about, what did you say? The
Entrepreneurship. Yeah. The circle. Yeah.
I absolutely love that. You all know, basically, we want you to like, subscribe, share this.
Comment.
Yes, and we will see you next time on Black Coffee Conversations. Take care.